Call us to order. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bear.
Present.
Commissioner Walls.
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Present.
Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Pileski.
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Snell.
Here.
Chairman Chatwell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We've arrived at public comment guidelines. Each individual will state their name. You'll have 3 minutes. You can address the board. You may only address the board once. Under this public comment opportunity, you may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate or answer questions at this time. Any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, we'll move on to items 4, approval of the study session minutes for January 7th, 2025. We have a motion and support. Any questions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. We've arrived at the Verigy update presentation. Administrator Controller Overton, you have the floor.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning.
Please.
Morning, Commissioners. Happy February. Sorry, February. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of Verigy. I want to talk about a lot of good things that are happening with our project, and I want to break it up into 3 segments as I talk about our progress. First one is the success of many sites and many conservation measures that are already in place, already working and functioning and providing use, viable use to the county and the citizens. The second item I want to talk about are the items that are still in place. We're about 50, maybe 60% complete on them. Talk about the challenges that we've been having, how we're overcoming them, and going to meet schedule on those. And then there's a segment of the project that we're really challenged with. We're about 25% complete on. And I'll talk about those challenges and what we're doing to get complete by year end. At this point, does anybody have any questions with regards to how we want to approach that? We're good? Okay. I want to talk about the projects that we have been completed. There's quite a few buildings that we've went through. We went through all the buildings and we've installed a comprehensive LED lighting upgrade through all the buildings. We completed those fairly quickly in 6 to 8 months of beginning of last year. So we completed roughly around November timeframe of last year. So rooms like this, they were a complete lighting retrofit put in, much more enhanced lighting, and specifically, we took into account all the users' requests with regards to color rendering and things like that. So we work closely with the facility team to make sure we address all those. But all those are in and complete. A significant portion of the HVAC work that we promised that would get done are completed. All the work at North Lawn is done. All the work at the youth center, all the HVAC there, all the work at the Wesley Jail. The Wesley Jail was well beyond its useful life. In fact, most of that equipment in there were, to a certain extent, on Band-Aids and stitches, and we were able to get those back up running. One note I wanted to talk about with regards to the jail there is that once we removed all the equipment, the new equipment that's going in isn't simply just replacing old for new. We made sure that when we installed them that they were code compliant. They met today's ventilation requirements, and we put adequate controls to make sure that they maintain the temperatures that we needed and also save the energy where it's possible. Where we also completed the work. Oh, I'm sorry. Question?
Just refresh my memory. I thought in the past you had stated that doing the work at the Wesley Street, if we were ever to move there, that the bulk of that equipment could move to a new facility. It wouldn't just be scrapped per se.
Well, the old equipment was scrapped.
No, I'm talking about the new stuff that's being installed.
Yes, yes. The new equipment is somewhat portable. Just like anything else, we have to make sure we remove it and make adjustments and then fully commission to whatever is needed. But as an example, we removed an old chiller there that, and I believe, before we actually went in there, you bought a chiller kind of off market just to get it up and running, provide air conditioning. In a similar fashion, the chiller that we put in could act in the same function. We could replace it somewhere else or sell it on the open market. You're welcome.
Hi, Ed.
Morning.
With respect to the jail, some of the controls were, as you say, held together with blood, sweat, and tears for
Yes,
a
sir.
while. Among the stories was a pair of channel locks that was used to turn a valve, and a meat thermometer used to try and understand, used as some kind of a thermostat. Has all that stuff been changed out now so that we're not going to hear at least stories of that in future years?
Yes,
That's all been changed out?
100% of that has been addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. If I could point out in the image to the far right there, that's one of the units in the jail. And if I were to show you an old picture versus the new, the old picture is night and day. And if you see all these orange components on the ductwork, you can see them. They're orange. Those are dampers that are tied to each individual zone. In fact, I think I count maybe 6 or 7 of them. And there's 7 thermostats, just an example, that tie the thermostat that you're referring to that orange actuator that opens and closes that damper. Those were all done by channel locks before. They were disconnected, and the maintenance would just adjust them. And it would be adjusted basically, a guard calling, says, hey, we're hot, and the facility team come out and make that adjustment. If it were to change, they would have to go with that whole through iteration. Sometimes they just wouldn't address it. The way it's addressed now is they set it, and it reaches that temperature, and it maintains it. You're welcome. Another segment could you go back to the, another segment of our project, which is pretty extensive, is the solar arrays. The site that we finished first was at the youth center. And I don't have the information in front of me now, but we did receive some utility information. I believe it was the June or July of last year's utility. And the utility was actually paying the county back with regards to the amount of energy it was generating, as opposed to the year prior. It was, there was a bill that the county actually had to pay for. So proof in the pudding from the standpoint of that actually functioning. It was part of our commissioning to make sure that all the equipment was working accordingly.
Ed?
Sure.
Just for clarification, though, we did not size those solar panels and things to do more than meet the needs of the institution or the buildings and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it'd be great if there was a return on the if there was an ROI on putting in solar for buildings and selling the extra back. But the way the laws work, it's such a small amount of money we receive back, it's not worth putting all the upfront capital in.
That's correct.
Yeah, so, which is a shame, because, there's lots of organizations like ourselves who are putting in solar, but they're sizing it just for their needs when they have room on their roof to double it, and therefore literally generate and contribute to the grid. But that's not the way the laws are working these days, so.
That's correct. Early onset of net metering was whatever whatever you consume and whatever you overproduce, you can sell back at the same rate. They've changed them to a certain extent where if you do sell them back, you sell them back at wholesale rate. So really the maximum benefit is just not paying them. You know, because you're buying it at 11, 12 cents a kWh. If you save that, that's the exact amount you save. If you overproduce, you're going to sell it back to them at 3 or 4 cents, whatever the retail rate is. So the program that we put in place for the county is to really maximize the savings under that scenario I just spoke about. So you're putting the money really right back in your pocket at that upper tier rate. And we've maximized, to the best of our ability, maximized the sizing of those solar arrays to optimize the benefit. So we've completed the solar at the event center. It's all on the roof there, over at JDOT, which is all grade mounted with a fence around it. And at the airport, I believe at the airport, we're close to 90% done. Those are a very unique installation where they're actually on a canopy, carport canopy, steel structure, and they're elevated, and cars can park underneath it. A similar type installation and configuration will be installed at the courthouse. I spoke a little bit about the controls. Building controls is really state-of-the-art digital direct control, DDC. At the Wesley Jail, spoke about that. At the event center, they do already have DDC, but what we've done is we've tied it all to a central control station. Northline upgraded that, JDOT in a similar fashion, the youth center, and also the airport. And I'll just speak a little bit about the pictures here. And again, these are just more samplings. The new LED upgrade at the Parks building, you can see it's well lit, really no dark areas. We were concerned about in some of the parks that even though they're used or not used as much, this is just important that you have adequate light and safe lighting. The new solar at the event center held down. There's no penetrations that were made on the roof. They're held down and they're ballasted. If for some reason there need to be any repair, they can be disconnected and kind of moved accordingly, but they're stable, secure, and to code.
Question, Ed. You know, I see those solar panels and I think of snow. I assume when it snows, they don't work.
Well, they do to a certain extent. They are black or dark color in sense, so they do attract the sun. They will shed the water, but we live in Michigan,
Yeah, I get it.
so we do.
I was
do the
wondering if
best
they
we
were
can.
heated or something like that. And I didn't know if they had a battery support for heat or so after the snow they melt or something like that.
No, there isn't.
Okay.
There isn't. Now, I could see the question maybe they're low to the ground or whatever. Part of that reason is just for low profile wind and that type of thing. At the youth center, and also at JDOT, they are elevated. So with regards to snow piling up from underneath or anything like that, that's not an issue. But you know, it's just the matter of the fact that we do live in Michigan. They are dark or black in color. They will attract the sun, and they'll shed the ice. But that's taken into account with regards to the performance in cloudy days or in snow-covered days. That the usage has been accounted for as being derated.
I mean, it's factored into the math.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all the equipment, all the savings, all the equipment, the sizing of it has been optimized using solar software, and then we use the same software to estimate the savings.
I believe Tony has a question.
Morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Ed. At the event center, the solar panels are attached to the roof. Roofing is usually designed for a wind uplift pressure, and the attachments of that roof are designed to handle that uplift pressure. With these solar panels on there, that's going to change the wind uplift pressures. Was the event center roof designed to handle just code required wind uplift resistance, or was it designed to handle the additional solar panel uplift air resistance?
That's a good question. I'm a mechanical engineer. What we've done specifically for any rooftop installation, we've brought onto our team a structural engineer and the appropriate architect to actually answer those questions, do a study, and actually stamp our engineering to make sure it's in compliance. What we've also done as part of this installation is we have to have interconnection drawings to be presented to the utility company. So we also need electrical engineers, professional engineers to stamp those and submit them as part of the submission for interconnection agreements. So to answer your question with regards to structural or any roof considerations, we've satisfied those requirements under the guidance of our structural engineer.
Thank you.
Any other questions with regards to this before I advance to the next slide? Okay. This scope of work here, we're roughly a little bit more than half complete. And for this segment of work and the next segment of work, what I want to talk about is how we've progressed, and also talk about the challenges that, just be transparent to the entire team here. Also talk openly about the challenges that we've come across and how we've rallied around to overcome those and still try to meet the committed time frame and installation and quality installation that we have promised. HVAC at JDOT, HSB, Health Services Building, and also the courthouse, we're about halfway done. And some of those challenges at those specific facilities, which I'll talk about just the courthouse first. First of all, the courthouse is a fully functioning courthouse. Very challenging from the standpoint of trying to schedule our work. That's very evasive. Getting into the ceiling spaces of practically every space in that courthouse. That's one of our biggest challenges. The other challenge is outside the building, which is putting in the geothermal field in the parking lot across the street. That's also a highly functioning parking lot. One of the additional challenges that we came across with regards to specifically a parking lot, we're working in conjunction with the county with a parallel project. They're re-engineering that entire parking lot. The county has limited resources with regards to their engineering department to try to get that done. And then one last challenge with that is that the city of Jackson has also imposed specific requirements on the county to adhere to either new standards or standards that the county is requiring. The city is requiring the county to adhere to these requirements. Because right now it's essentially partially paved in kind of a gravel, and it's just sloped. So there's, not to get into the specifics about it because I didn't really do the engineering, the county did it. They had to re-engineer that entire parking lot. That actually had to be done before we could actually engineer the geothermal field that would lie below it. So we stayed patient with them. Once that engineering was done, it allowed us to complete our geothermal engineering, the layout of the solar canopies that were going to be above ground, and then to spot locate the EV charging stations that we had planned also. So with that in mind, with regards to the geothermal field there, we kind of got chased back maybe around 6 months regarding that. Any questions with regards to the geothermal field there specifically and our challenges?
Didn't we have some struggles with getting permits from the city, because the city council had to approve it?
Yes. There was there's some additional permitting, and again, that's I think it tied closely with the parking engineering and that layout, and also us crossing the street there at I forget the name of that. That's Wesley Street, right there in front of the courthouse, because they mandated that we not disturb existing utilities. We had to be clearly underneath them. That took quite a while to get that done. In fact, I think it needed to go to the city board for vote, and that delayed us for a few months also. Again, challenges that were posed on us, and stayed patient and found ways to navigate and get through it. One of the other things I just mentioned with regards to the courthouse is the challenge of scheduling. To a certain extent, what we're doing is the second priority there. The first priority there is the business of the courts. So we have to schedule our work carefully with the scheduling of the judges, the court times, and items like that. In a perfect world, we just get our work done, but that's not the case here. So it was really important that we abide by that, and what it did, it just elongated our construction schedule. I'll speak a little bit about the HVAC over at Health Services Building. A portion of the Health Services Building was a portion of the project there was awarded to Verigy as a change order. I believe around last year this time. But we took it upon ourselves to really try to maintain the schedule of the original base contract to be complete. Still no excuses. We started late there, specifically at the drilling of the geothermal field. That I'm not sure if anyone is aware of the actual terrain behind HSB. Originally, there was a large mound of earth that we had to level and create a level field for the geothermal field. Now it's fairly flat, and image one actually shows the drilling of the. I believe we've got almost 100 well fields. This is one being drilled right now, and this was actually featured in an article at MLive, and they talked a lot of real good things about the project that the county's doing there. But again, this is just a picture of what we're doing there. All the vertical well fields are in place. We're in the process now of manifolding them all together, bring them to a concrete vault that's underground, and that piping is going to go inward, and that's taking place probably in the next couple weeks. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges we had at the courthouse coming across Wesley there. I believe we struck a water main there. And it was, with the help of the facility group, we rallied and got that taken care of. And, construction is not a perfect process. So it's really important that as we embark in what we've done is not only, the responsibility of us, but also the responsibility of the facility team to really work as a team to get things done. And this is a perfect example of how that occurred. We were able to get that fixed, resolved, and learn some lessons there and move forward. And I believe that's really it. JDOT, there is we're still completing, adding the air conditioning in the rear portion of the lunch area. That's some work that we've shifted over there to address the JDOT eating area, the meeting area they have back there, which originally was kind of spotty air conditioned. Equipment was getting old. Part of our project was to upgrade all of that and provide adequate ventilation. And go to the next slide. This next slide here talks about certain portions of the project that we intend to be complete by the end of the year. Primarily three, almost four segments of our project. One of them being this tower building, which we designed from an engineering perspective almost 2.5 times. And no fault of ours, but it's more of the standpoint of working closely with the administration here to make sure that one of the requirements that Mr. Overton and he's very loyal to is to making sure that the occupants of this tower, their use and their functionality is not compromised. More specifically, the ballroom and a lot of the people within the tower itself. He held us very close, and he stayed committed to making sure that those requirements were not compromised.
Let me clarify my commitment. I was prepared to kill the tower project. That's how committed I was. They wanted to run pipes up through the building, sizable pipes, right through the safe in the ballroom. I'm like, no, you're not going to go. That's a historic structure, blah, 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 and right on up through there. And no fault of Verigy or Ed. They're just trying to engineer it. But it's like, you got to figure something else out. You cannot run that pipe and right through the bathroom on my floor, the ladies' bathroom, I might add, and then right on up through, Mr. Curtis's kitchen and things like that. It's like, we need to figure this out and do a different way. And to their credit, they stepped back and re-engineered the whole thing and did a good job. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yes. And again, we take full responsibility for that. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand. What I should have done is really held the hand of our engineering team, literally held their hand. Tyler, he's a younger engineer on my team, and working closely with our project manager to try to get that fully engineered, and working also with a third-party professional engineer to get that done. Once we originally presented that solution to the facility team and Mr. Overton, they gave us a full thumbs down on that. So we scrambled for a few months to re-engineer that. We came up with a co-authored solution, more on a baby step perspective with the facility team, with Mr. Overton, and continue to get approval as we push to final engineering completion. I show here an image 3 and what we've done, just so that maybe you guys can get an understanding. There is no clear path to get from the basement of this building to the tower. When we originally looked at it, that would include myself. We had, and I don't want to use this, I use this word maybe loosely, wishful thinking to get from that point to that point. And we had some general ideas, working closely with Derek and the team. And but when it got down to actually fully engineering it, there was no other choice other than to potentially run it through the ballroom. And we thought that we may be able to, mask it or cover it, cover it with some marble or something like that. At the end of the day, it was unacceptable. So what we did is that we, again, this is with the co-authoring of the facility team, and I'll point you to image number 2, is that we're going from the basement, and you can also see it on image 3 on the upper left-hand corner. We have the pipes running alongside of the building. which is roughly in the, I think, the northeast corner here. And we're actually covering it. You see it there on the side. That posed quite a few challenges to get that done and done properly. You know, structurally, we had to make sure that the pipes were had the adequate support that we can do that. Secondly, we wanted to make sure that it passed city code and also the requirements of the county, that we did everything we could to make sure it was not too unsightly. And then lastly, it has to work. What happens when you pull piping outside? It has to be of non-freeze conditions. So what we did is we engineered a system that includes glycol in the system, which is antifreeze. So that's part of the engineering. Once you do that, you have to make sure that the equipment is sized properly. It changes the entire dynamic of engineering of not only the end-use equipment, but also the pumping and the boilers and the chillers, all that. So we had to take all that into account just because we made that shift. All this entire time, we can't pivot without having the facility team endorsing what we're doing. So once we understood conceptually that this was done, then we actually have to go see if we can get it to work. Got the structural engineers, got the path worked out and everything else. And this whole time, you know, you're losing valuable construction time. But it, for my perspective, and for the sake of doing things correct, it's more important that you get the engineering and the acceptability of the county 100% correct before you actually go to construction. We're there now. We intend to go to construction in the next, hopefully in the next couple weeks here. Okay. Solar for these three facilities, the HSB, courthouse, and landfill, is more of the standpoint that you have to do A before B, and B in this situation really is the solar part of it. The solar is above the solar field, above the geothermal field at HSB and also at the courthouse. So once that is complete, we can actually continue with the solar. I'll talk about the landfill. The landfill is one of our biggest challenges here. One of them specifically, and we didn't really discover this, and we actually discovered this with the county, is that there's an ownership issue with the county and how it's actually being owned and operated by the county. Roughly half of it is still owned by the state, and the county owns the other half. Our intention was to actually do construction on the entire landfill, which prevented us from doing that and filing permitting. We discovered that, we brought it to the attention of the county, and Mike Overton understood what those were, and we were trying to get our hands around that, and what Mr. Overton actually involved the state representative to help us through that, to help hand carry that. She actually captained the entire team. I believe it was the real estate department, Department of Corrections, everybody who was involved in this, and we had a roundtable discussion, which I was a part of, and also the facility team, and we rallied, and we also had representation for the county legally, Brad, and we were able to actually understand the requirements. Brad and the county worked up some contractual and some legal terms, and at this time today, those are all at the state level, getting fully approved. Once that gets fully approved, our permitting should be approved after that, and we can continue with our construction. We anticipated that pushed our project out another 6 months, but we still intend to complete that roughly at the end of the year. Any questions with regards to that? Okay, if you could advance to the next slide, please. This is a summary of the entire project, and what I wanted to more point out to you is more of the scheduling up top. January 25th, to date, that's how much we're complete on. By June of 25, which we originally intended to be complete on the entire job, we're going to be 100% on a major portion of the project, and some of them will get pushed out to the end of the year, but we're still committed to get this project complete by year end. Any questions?
Tony?
Thank you. And I have quite a few questions on your last page here on the complete done. Per contract, your substantial completion date is March 31st, 2025. So in 75 days, you're basically supposed to be 100% done with everything. Substantial completion is often equated to beneficial occupancy. That's when the owner can move in and begin utilizing the building that they've paid for. A lot of this construction was inside our existing buildings, but still everything should be done in 75 days. The substantial completion isn't June, it's March 31st. And of March 31st, there's very few items that are going to be 100% complete. Substantial completion, we should be doing a punch list. You should go in and the project's basically 100% done, but okay, you got to do a little paint touch up here, got to fix a little base molding over there. After March 31st, it should be minor little things that are touch up. Things aren't going to be really complete for it's going to be 9 months late before this project is at where it should be the end of March. That costs us money. The landfill, the wastewater plant, we're paying monthly to have that leachate hauled away. After March 31st, we shouldn't be paying to haul that leachate away. And I see your project is only 10% complete for the landfill wastewater treatment plant. I understand the problems that there was a difficulty with identifying the ownership of the land. What did the county own? What did the Michigan Department of Corrections own? But everybody knew where that plant was going to go. We knew the plant was part of the project. And from my thinking, having worked on projects similar to this, 90% of that building could already be designed. The determination of the process that's going to clean up the water, the selection of the equipment, the footprint of the building, the mechanical, electrical, the ventilation for the building, could all be designed right now. And the only thing that needed to be done after we purchased the property from the Michigan Department of Corrections was to do the soil borings so that the spread footings could be designed. The spread footings are designed based on the load-bearing capacity of the soil. So we had to have the borings done. Structural engineers don't design the spread footings until they know all of the rest of the loads throughout the entire building, which those could have been known. So I don't understand why we are only 10% into the design of the wastewater treatment plant. I see no reason that we couldn't be at 90%. And all that has to be finished up is the calculation for the spread footings and a little touch up on the site plan. So I'm disappointed we are so far behind. The contract says you're done March 31st. There's HVAC, the Health and Human Services building in the courthouse. That's going to be completed 9 months later than it should be. HVAC for the tower building, it's going to be 9 months late. The solar Health and Human Services Building, courthouse, and landfill are going to be 9 months late. I understand there's problems. We had to move some dirt at the Human Services Building. That couldn't have set you back more than 2 weeks. You get in there with earth-moving equipment, and that hill's gone in days. The geothermal, Health and Human Services Building in the courthouse, they're only 50% done now, and it's going to be 9 months before they are completed. The building controls, the for the Human Services Building and the courthouse, they're not going to be done till end of the year. The tower, same thing, not going to be done to the end of the year. I just don't see any rationale why this whole project is so late. Leveling of the ground doesn't take that much time. Discovering a water main doesn't take that much time. HVAC piping for the tower building, that could have slowed things down because you had to engineer a different route because there's nothing within the building. But still, I'm incredibly disappointed that this project is as far behind as it is. And why 1.25 months before it should be 100% done, are you coming and telling us it's going to be another 9 months before it's done? Why weren't you here 6 months ago? So maybe these challenges could have been issued or could have been addressed. I don't know what your answer is to those things.
Well, I appreciate the questions. I have a limited time of this presentation with regards to, exact specifics. I could address each one of them. I made an attempt to actually be 100% transparent with the commissioners, with the challenges that we've had, get in depth as much as possible without getting too deep into it. As an example, at the landfill, one of the things that I didn't address, that site that we're originally looking at was severely damaged under a storm. That building that we intended to use and use it in part, which was part of our project, has been leveled. Basically, it's non-use. So we have to take into account. We have to work closely with the administration to understand this whole insurance thing. And also,
when was the inability to use the existing building determined?
well, when the storm hit, and then once the storm hit, the adjusters, and again, this is the county's business now. They had to get the insurance adjusters in there, make an assessment, and they had to do their determination. And then with regards to how much monies could be applied to actually building a new building, which was far short to what it should have been. So we're working closely with the administration team with regards to how we're going to build this building still stay within budget. That's one of our first challenges. The challenges with regards to making a statement that this could be all fully engineered. I just caution in that because this all has to be approved by Eagle. If we engineer, assuming one thing versus another, and then it gets rejected, all that engineering would be all for naught. We do have some preliminary engineering that we're including as part of our permit and an adjustment and pre-approval to go to full engineering. And that's the process. So it's really incumbent upon us to make sure that we follow the permitting process with Eagle. And we knew that was going to be a 6 to 9 month process. They put a pause to it because there's an ownership issue. So again, we're doing the best we can with regards to under the constraints we have. There are certain things that we do take full responsibility for on why it has drug out. And we're doing the best that we're going to be complete for year end. Challenges at the courthouse, I really, who really knows this challenge is the facility team working closely with with the courthouse and their scheduling. I
Well,
wish
Ed, I
we
have
could just go
reviewed
there
all
and
of
just get our
the,
work done, so.
all of the minutes from the Board of Public Works meetings from 2022 and through today. November 20, 2023 was when Rick Shealy brought to the Board of Public Works the concern that you had raised about the ownership of the land. So that was November 2023, a year and a half ago, was when the Board of Public Works first became aware that there's a problem and it's likely to impact your schedule. Why you and the administrator and the Board of Public Works didn't come up with a solution. May 20, 2024, Derek Eisel addressed the Board of Public Works, again with a update on Verigy. So it was addressed multiple times. It was addressed prior to those two meetings, and yet I don't see any corrective action was taken.
With all due respect, Commissioner Beer, you know, the ownership and the, those specific issues are the county issues. You know, it's important for us to work with the county to actually be secondary to those actions. So it's really, and again, I say this with respect, it's up to the county to understand those ownership issues, work closely with those at the party that's part of that dispute and work them out. I know that Mr. Overton was challenged with that at middle of last year. He felt it was important that he needed actually more horsepower per se next to him. That's why he involved the state representative to get involved. Once that occurred, there's a lot of things that did start happening. How and when or whatever, how it should have happened sooner. As far as I'm concerned right now, it's in the rearview mirror. We're going to get it resolved and we're going to get done.
Yeah, currently, we're waiting on the state legislature to approve the transfer of the asset to the county for $1. You know, Eagle has said, you know, the land management budget people or whomever, that we can transfer it for $1. This board has approved, but now we have to wait for the state legislature. And I've talked to Sarah Leitner, our representative there, and she is working to move that forward through the legislature.
I thought that was completed. I thought that was completed a month ago.
On our end, but not the state's end. And the state moves at their own pace. We can't dictate how fast or they will
Okay.
move at all. I believe
You
Earl
didn't-
had a comment.
You didn't effectively communicate that to me. I
Thank you,
thought
Mr.
when we
Chair.
bought it, we owned it. And
Thank you, Mr.
said
Chair.
we owned
Commissioner
it.
Bear,
sir.
Commissioner Pileski speaking now, sir. You're interrupting him.
I didn't hear you had acknowledged him. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having worked in state government and having worked with Eagle, particularly the term glacial does not begin to refer to the slowness of the pace of action at Eagle. So that's perfectly understandable. And I think Commissioner Bear's observations that we've had delays are noted. And I suppose the higher level question I would ask is whether these delays affect the economics of our arrangement. And I'm sure that you and administration will consider what effects, if any, the delays that Commissioner Bear has noted will have an effect on our arrangement. So is that a fair statement? Okay.
Yes.
So I guess one other question that I have for administration is that a number of these projects have to do with buildings that are run by funds other than our general fund. For example, notably JCDOT, okay? That's run by, you know, it's all Act 51 money. And I guess the question I would have in a high-level sense is whether the costs and benefits of the project are, do we have a process of allocating the costs and benefits of the project to funds other than the general fund?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the chance to comment.
Any other commissioner comment? Commissioner Bear?
So many excuses why things don't get done. Communication on these land ownership issues and transfer has been less than adequate for me. Now we're hearing that it may be more months before we can even begin. So you're already setting up a situation where the December 2025 deadline won't be missed, or won't be met. And the cost of providing these services that we contracted for should not be impacted on this. But yet, my commissioner friend has already set it up that he's asking about the financial impact. What are you leading into? Another change increase, another cost increase that the citizens are going to have to bear to get this done? I can't support that. Thank you.
Any further comments? Thank you.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Mr. Chair, I have to respond to that, and the response would be that if the project is not accomplishing what we had expected for it to accomplish economically, my expectation would not be for a cost to be put upon the public, but for some adjustment in Verigy's compensation. So let's be clear about my question in that regard. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think that can be done on your own, and you and Commissioner Pileski can schedule time with the administrator controller to hammer that out. This is the issue of the land. The issue of the land has been going on since 1974 with the state of Michigan. We have sued them 3 different times over it. We're now in our 4th and final, actually taking ownership. The state of Michigan wasn't willing to give us ownership prior to now. So we will continue to move forward with all of these items. Any further questions? Seeing none. Administrator Overton.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
We've arrived at the second opportunity for public comment. Each individual will state their name and have 2 minutes. Seeing no public here, is there anyone else who would like to give public comment? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session in accordance with MCL 15268.
So moved.
Legal opinion. I have a motion from Commissioner Kennedy, support from Commissioner Snell. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Pileski.
Yes.
Commissioner Willis. Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Snell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bear.
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. We'll adjourn to the 6th floor. motion?
Motion is to concur with the recommendation of attorneys from the closed session.
Or, we have a motion and
Roll call vote, please.
what's that, sir?
Roll call vote.
That's where I'm going.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Pulaski,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Snell,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
No.
Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Bear?
Yeah, I just voted no on the recommendation, on the motion to follow the recommendation of the attorney. I voted no because the attorney made no recommendation. In the letter that I was given to read,
You cannot talk about closed session, sir.
For 1 year.
That's why we go into closed session.
okay, second thing I want to cover is, Mr. Chairman, you're still very discriminatory in how you conduct business here. I make a statement, somebody else says, oh, I want to reply to that statement, and you let them do it. And then I make a comment, I want to reply to that statement, and you tell me no. So you allow latitude to other people that you do not allow to me. So you are still being very prejudicial in who and how you let people speak, and that is not the way things should be.
Any other commissioner comment?
Real quickly, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the headphones provided. It allows me to more fully participate in the discussion. Thank you.
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion and support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried.